My name is Dr. Daniel Moses, and I am a Nigerian who immigrated from the shores of Nigeria over 20 years ago in search for a better life. Greener pasture, most people would say, in the UK. And I must say, it wasn't a very easy one, especially leaving the shores of Nigeria, where you have all of your family members, to go into a foreign country where you had no one at all. So when I got to the UK, I had no relative at all, no father, no sister, no auntie, no uncle, literally no blood, relative in the United Kingdom, and having to go through all the challenges from when I used to sleep on the floor in a friend's room, to when I used to basically just find somewhere to stay, and squatting from a friend's house to a friend's house to doing what I do today, just goes to show you that in life, when you have God, no matter your imperfection, that anything is absolutely possible. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm an immigrant from Nigeria. I left the shores of Nigeria, over 20 years ago, and my name is Dr. Daniel Moses. I'm here in Rwanda because I have been invited as a keynote speaker during the just concluded 2024 100 most notable African global icons. We was here for the first 3 days, the first to the third, where there has been a summit, a business network, and where entrepreneurs, government officials, dignitaries have gathered together to discuss how can successful entrepreneurs who are starting up, entrepreneurs who are looking to grow, how can we come together as one to champion the cause of showcasing the African success that we are all looking to see, and also had the opportunity to be recognized as the 100 most notable business icon for real estate outside of the shores of Africa, outside of the shores of Nigeria. And Rwanda is a very beautiful country, though I cannot really say why the organizers of the event has actually centered this to Rwanda, but I'm very, very humbled and pleased to what my eyes have seen in this lovely, lovely, lovely city. And in line with my 10 years vision for my organization, which I am the founder, which is Property Wealth Corporations UK Limited, as a real estate developer myself, being in Rwanda so far so good has ignited part of the visions which about a year ago I started traveling across Africa. I had the opportunity of being in Tanzania, I've had the opportunity of being in Ghana, I had the opportunity of being in Rwanda, and I want to be able to develop real estate across the 56 countries we have within Africa. And it's just been amazing. Rwanda is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country. Like I said, I've been in the last 1 year into some African countries, and Rwanda is so amazing. And I'm obviously looking at ways where I can collaborate with the local officials here, and as well as expanding my business, especially in real estate, where we have successfully built a business that is currently now scaling in the UK. Now, what makes this absolutely different is that this is the actual first award that I have actually personally received outside of the shores of the United Kingdom. Last year, I was recognized as a global business champion outside of the shores of Nigeria, and as well as other awards that has come from from Nigeria and some other African countries. But personally, this is the first time I'm actually receiving myself an award here, in the continent of Africa, and it's very, 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 personal to me. And the reason why it's very personal to me is that, it doesn't matter how you started. It's all about where you're going to. It doesn't matter where, your current situation is. I am an example. I did not have it easy. Once upon a time, I've had my fair share, of dark moments. However, I chose to be, a light When I mean I have a fair share of dark moments, I did not get success given to me on a platter of gold in the US. I had to work my way up. When I wrote my second book, which became an Amazon best-selling book, The Test, Transitioning from the Ordinary to the Extraordinary, I share most of these dark moments in that book. So people who want to get some inspiration should read it, because often people think about success is given on the platter of gold. But for you to be successful, you will go through those dark tunnels. You will go through those trials and tribulations. But one of the things I will say is that there is always light at the end of that tunnel. So I'm very passionate about this award, because it shines the light that actually there are Africans who are legitimately seeking to be better. There are Africans who are outside of the shores of Africa who are legitimately want to be, something greater for themselves. How can I use my journey, to inspire a lot of Africans right now, who think that they can actually build, a business from maybe zero to millions, or for example, as you stated as well, building a 7-figure business in the UK. Well, I think it's all about dreaming. It's all about, first of all, dreaming big, aspiring to be the greatest version of yourself, whether that being financially, whether that being wealth and otherwise. For me, I think having gone through so many challenges in over 20 years in the UK, and looking back in the last 7 years, where I can actually pinpoint, wow, it looks like I am in the right part. It looks like I am getting somewhere in the end. And especially being, having had the opportunity to speak, in front of, the former Prime Minister, Theresa May, and also having to share the stage, with the former President of Mauritius, having had the opportunity of connecting with the former President of Nigeria and, other dignitaries across the UK, having had the opportunity of meeting the former Home Secretary. It is possible to transform. And part of the reason why, again, I'll refer back to my book, Transitioning from the Ordinary to the Extraordinary, it is absolutely possible for you to transform as an individual from the ordinary to the extraordinary. The biggest part of it all is for you to be, for you to have the ability to dream. It is all about dreaming, because if you can dream big enough, and if you can have one thing, which is intentionality, this business I'm doing, is it just for me? Or is it just a business that I actually want to have an impact on others? So for us here at Property Wealth, one of the things that we wanted to do was to not just have a business that serves my purpose. It wasn't just a business for me to generate money for myself. It was a business that I wanted to create that will have an impact in the lives of many. As an entrepreneur, you have to learn to fight your demons every single day. Achieving over 7 figures in my business, going to 8 figures now in the UK, it doesn't mean that anyone cannot do it. But you have to have clarity, you have to have intention, you have to have the ability to dream, to disrupt, and to create and to bring Africans in the diaspora together, that actually you can go for gold, you can rise from the bottom, you can to rise all the way to the top. Has it been easy? No. I had to fight demons every single day. And one of the things is that those demons are not there to bring you down. Those demons are actually meant to propel you to the next level of that vision, of that dream that you have. So we shouldn't shy away from it, but seek information, seek personal growth, personal development, and through these things, you can rise from the bottom to the top. The question was, it seems to be like I'm very passionate, right? Well, that's a very powerful question. When you've been on the journey as I have been on, like I said, I left the shores of Nigeria over 20 years ago with no mother, no brother, no sister, no auntie, in a foreign country, and having to have settled really well in that foreign country today. And I haven't just settled in the UK, I am very known in the United Kingdom. You have to understand one thing that has kept me: passion. Is either I die or I survive, and that's just the truth. And I'm very grateful to God Almighty that I have not died, I have survived. And the passion He's given to me is coming alive. Why am I so passionate about what I do now? Like I said, I went bankrupt in 2015. I went bankrupt. I became an Uber driver. And the reason why I'm very passionate about what I do now was because it was through a revelation. I fell asleep in a wheel. I was driving my Uber taxi driver. I was driving as an Uber taxi driver. I fell asleep on the wheels. I was about to crash my car. And I heard a very strong voice in my head to pull over and have a nap. It was in that nap that I saw everything given to me in my dream of what I do today. So I am passionate about real estate because real estate, it was almost like a dream. I was sleeping and I woke up in my dream. And today, every single thing I saw in that dream is what I live today. So I'm very passionate because God is behind what I'm doing. I'm passionate about real estate because from nothing, I am building a business in millions in the UK. In the last 4 years, I have had the opportunity of private investors investing over £2 million with myself. And 75% of those money that I have raised from private investors have been paid back. So I am very passionate about this because I believe this is my calling. Is it that I'm going to survive and I'm going to be a voice across Africa, and other entrepreneurs will see this come to life and be able to walk the same path. And I know because of the vision God has given to me, I'm not going to die. And if I'm not going to die, I believe millions and billions, entrepreneurs across the globe would be lifted by my story. And for me, it's only the beginning. So for me, because of the revelation behind my story, the passion and the hunger to give, to get more, to be more, to lead by an example has become so paramount that I believe that a time will come very soon, that a lot of youths will be able to relate to my story. People wrote books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. People are Robert Kiyosaki. In today's entrepreneurial world, people became entrepreneurs, something like Donald Trump. He was president of the United States of America and he's about coming back to become president for the second time. So I believe that entrepreneurs who have been beaten, entrepreneurs who have had dark times where they thought there was never hope, can be birthed through this guy that is speaking. So that is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate. I believe if I do survive, that I will, which I know I will, that I will inspire so many people, and I have no reason to fail because I have failed and failed and failed. And the only things I know now is to continue to fail forward, not backward, because that is what actually makes an entrepreneur, the ability to continue to fail forward. I don't believe in failures anymore. I believe that I'm learning. I keep learning forward. I keep learning forward, not learning backward. And I will continue to take the positive risk that I need to take because entrepreneurs are risk takers. Entrepreneurs are people who believe in never losing, in anything, because every time you think you're losing, you're actually gaining something forward. So that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. And personally, and that is why I love real estate, because really and truly, real estate, you never lose. The worst that can happen in real estate is that you can sell everything and still be able to pay off your debt. And if you pay off your debt, you can start again. If you've always built it before, you can build it again. So I'm very passionate about this. The thing is, if you're not prepared to take in risk, don't do business. It's very simple. If you're not prepared to take risk, don't do business. Legitimate risk, by the way. And if you're not prepared to lose, don't do business. In 20 plus years, I've been an entrepreneur. Like I said before, only the last 7 years that I actually see myself, wow, I'm doing something forward. For the first 13 years, I did not see myself doing something forward. I actually saw myself doing a lot of things backward. When the last 7 years, I saw myself doing something forward. And guess what? I started to learn from the mistakes of 13 years. So if you're not preparing to fail, if you're not preparing to learn, then don't do business. And I think I'll really quickly say this as well. A lot of people see entrepreneurs as, when they've made it. And I think a lot of people need to tap into the story of how entrepreneurs became successful. So for a lot of young entrepreneurs, I think the easiest way is to learn from the stories of the failures of entrepreneurs who are winning. One of the things that has transformed my life a lot is listening to the stories of entrepreneurs who almost got wiped out. So, for example, Aliko Dangote at some point went through challenges. Femi Otedola from Nigeria at some point in time was in debt of billions and almost committed suicide. Another entrepreneur, I love to listen to, Elon Musk, and he says, don't try to be Elon Musk because it's painful being Elon Musk. The truth is that to become successful is very painful, but it's like childbearing. Throughout the 9 months of childbearing, a mother carrying a child is uncomfortable. That is exactly what success being an entrepreneur looks like. For 9 months, an example, a woman went through so much discomfort, so much pain. Same way, as a successful entrepreneur, you go through that season where you'll be beaten and asking, when are you ever going to make it? I'm not saying I've made it, but I'm saying I've enjoyed every single pain that has taken me to where I am now, where actually I'm like, actually there was light. There could be light. Being able to build a multi-million-pound business in the UK at the moment, it hasn't been easy, but I am enjoying every single day of that pregnancy. Even though, yes, the child has been given birth to, but I am now in a place where I'm actually also nurturing that child, teaching the child to drink, teaching the child to say, mommy, daddy. And that is the journey of an entrepreneur. So it's never unending. You get pregnant, you nurture that pregnancy, the child comes out, you start to teach the child how to walk, how to say something, you try to teach the child how to read, and that is the true story of the entrepreneur. So, and every single person who is looking to become entrepreneur now, do not look at the success side of it. Look at the whole process of the pregnancy to when you're teaching the child to respect you, teaching the child to treat others with respect, and that is the true journey of being able to grow a successful business. It's as simple. It's not very complicated, but I think people need to eliminate the instant microwave mentality. You will be beaten. It's not how many times you're beaten, it's not how many times you fall. It's your ability to keep rising and keep rising forward. That is what makes a true winning entrepreneur. I think the easiest way to look at how can you generate foreign inflows as an entrepreneur is to be able to research into different business opportunities that can drive in foreign currency to your business in your local country, for example Rwanda. So if you're here in Rwanda and you're looking for how can you drive foreign inflows into your business, I came into Rwanda and I saw that a lot of businesses are doing very well, and so far some of the business consultants I've been talking with, taking me around, I can see that a lot of local businesses are doing well. But the truth be told, those local businesses that are doing well, if you really look at it, there's a hand of a foreigner behind it. I went to some very iconic buildings and I started to ask questions, and there was a foreign collaboration, or actually some of those businesses was owned by a foreigner. I think the easiest way to do this is that local businesses needs to find international collaborators. So personally, I would love to come and establish, a property project here. So I would love to mix with a local, Rwandese who is a successful and someone who has failed a lot. Personally, I'll be very transparent and honest. I would not want to do business with anyone who has not failed. I love failure. I love people who have failed. I love people who have been able to fail many times, because when you fail many times there is a lesson. So I would like to collaborate with someone who has failed many times, because I have also failed many times, so we can synergize together to tap into foreign Rwandese who are in the UK who wants to come back home to do business, or for example other Africans who want to do business in Rwanda. And that is one way of championing foreign currency into Rwanda. On the other hand, what about Rwandese who have money and also want to tap into foreign currency. So recently I have had a campaign that is currently running in Nigeria, where I'm trying to connect with Nigerians who have a minimum of £10,000, who would love to earn at least 10 to 20% return on their money from Nigeria. So basically investing a minimum of £10,000 and being able to generate a certain amount, like I said, for example 10 to 20% return on those investments, so they can earn back foreign currency into Nigeria. I'm also looking at as how I can take that across Africa. So what does that mean? It means that you can now cross-pollinate funds, so you can earn from the UK, and as well as you can get UK investment into those countries. So this is something I have personally successfully done in the UK locally. So locally, as I mentioned, I've worked with local investors within the UK, and they've given me multi-millions into my company. These are people who became, first of all, I became known to them, they became known to me, and then we created relationship. A couple of months later, they are now investing into my company. So this is what I'm looking to build. I'm looking to build this so that alone can help us to elevate poverty completely in Africa, because this way now you're able to cross-pollinate. So you're able to take funds from a foreign country into Rwanda, you're able to take local currency from Rwanda into the UK, and through that way actual wealth is created, because wealth is about cross-pollination. Taking something from here and making it work here, and taking something from here and making it work there. And that is exactly how wealth is created. So for local businesses, it's about researching into businesses in the UK that can give you inflow into your local country, and as well as how can you export funds from here into generating foreign currency there. If you look across my social media today, you will find me intentionally collaborating with people in government. And the reason is very simple. And one of the reasons why I have made it a very simple task in my organization as the founder of Property Wealth to want to be in the rooms where there are African leaders, there are Western leaders, politicians, and you name it, is because government needs to be more familiar with entrepreneurship. Presidents of countries needs to become familiar with entrepreneurship. Because if government can become really, can create and cultivate deep relationship with entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are actually the people that build economies. Entrepreneurs are the people that brings and drives investments. The more government, can create a collaboration, friendship, relationship, and dig for investors, entrepreneurs, and cultivate that circle of relationship and back them, the more entrepreneurs can win easily. So sometimes individuals would love to invest in a company, but the reason why they would not want to invest in that company is because sometimes the leader of the organization may be deemed not credible enough. So imagine, as I am now, as someone who's done well for myself over the last couple of years in the UK, and all of a sudden being backed by a UK government, and then the UK government speaks about me all the time. Then all of a sudden, Rwandese government speak about me. And then all of a sudden, Nigeria, where I'm from, government speaks about me. And help me create that credibility and continue to help me, move my business forward. We start to actually solve bigger problems, because as an entrepreneur, I continue as an entrepreneur to want to bring my vision to life. So because remember, entrepreneurs are people who have a dream, a vision. Sometimes we don't know whether that dream or vision is going to win or survive. But because we have genuine passion about what we do, we must see that vision and that dream come to light. So regardless, we're prepared to faith forward, we're prepared to keep fighting, and we're prepared to make it work, because our interest is to create profit. Our interest is to create wealth for first ourselves, then to others. So imagine entrepreneurs across Africa being backed first by government, then by institution, financial institution, because we have ideas, because we have passion to bring those ideas to life, we can actually become the true champions that actually make economy works. I mean, look at Mark Zuckerberg today. See how much the US government has backed him. Look at the likes of Elon Musk. Look at how the US government has backed him. Look at Jeff Bezos. Look at how the US government has backed him. Today we talk about AIs because entrepreneurs are innovators. If we get backed by government, then guess what then happens? Financial institution backs it up. We actually start to create more wealth. So it's very important for entrepreneurs like myself and others to continually find themselves where governments are backing them, and as well as where financial institutions are backing them. And the reason why a lot of African entrepreneurs fail is because we never get backed by governments. We never get backed by financial institution. I'll give an example. In Nigeria, it takes over 28% to loan money as an entrepreneur. And if you're going to raise money on private investors, you're looking at about 30-40%. Which business is going to survive on that? You can't survive. In Africa, I'm not really yet familiar with how African lending works, but lending in Africa is very expensive, whereas in the West it's very cheap. One of the things that's helped me grow a lot in the West is that money is cheap over there, but yet, if I'm able to keep growing my business and understand debt correctly, I have used debt to grow. And entrepreneurs in Africa need to learn how to use debt to grow as well. Because nobody makes money with money. You make money with debt. You create debt and then you use those debt to grow. Every single business that have been able to survive and succeed, they grow on debt. They borrow money, and through the right borrowing, through the paying back the right interests or the right investment back, they are able to create profits and they're able to create more wealth for other economy. I hope that has been able to impact you. Great question, by the way, and I really love that because that is now talking about me, right? So as I mentioned, over the last 4 years in the UK, I've had the opportunity of working with groups of individuals. As I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, I said I've had the opportunity of also raising property millionaires, and I made an example with an individual who now within 3 years built a portfolio of between 800,000 to just about £1 million. And I made another example of someone who went from zero to building a £3 million property portfolio in assets. And I run a club called the Property and Business Club in the UK, which over the last few months is now becoming a global club. First, it started in the UK, and as I continue to go across Africa to speak about wealth creation and actually go into details of how I, open the eyes of people to wealth creation through real estate. That community of individuals, people who are part of that communities, are getting to tap into the resources, especially in the UK real estate market, and as well as helping Africans also become a member of that club. It's a paid club, and the reason why it's a paid club because we have costs to run the club. We have costs to bring in, entrepreneurs who have been able to grow from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 figures to share their life lessons with the groups, with the community members, with the club members, and as well as we are now going to a part where we are actually bringing heads of countries, past heads of countries, parastatals, dignitaries, to inspire us, something that looks far away, something that looks unachievable. So for example, you never just find former leaders or former presidents coming in a close community to share their life experience of running countries, running businesses, or people who are 7, 8, 10 figures, billionaires, inspiring people. You never really find it. It looks like it's almost unreachable. So what I'm actually doing in the club is to be able to bring us into this room where we can network, so we can transform from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Because let's be honest, right now, to win as an entrepreneur, you have to be intentional about transforming from the ordinary to the extraordinary. And that is exactly what the club does. The club gives you the opportunity to transform from the ordinary to the extraordinary. The club gives you the opportunity to create consortiums, all right, to have a little bit of an investment clubs, where we can bring our funds together to create more development and for a return on reward or return on investment, and the list goes on and on. So that is very, very powerful. It's very, very, powerful for entrepreneurs to look on how can they become members of this club, because the truth to wealth creation right now, it is who do you know? What do you know? Who is in your corner? Who can you pick up your phone to and to seek investment tomorrow for a development, for a project that you're looking to create? So that is what the Property Wealth and Business Club is doing. And we've had the opportunity of had over 1,000 people being through that community, gone through that club. And we have retained a high number of members in the last few years that this is now being created. So for anyone who wants to, create cross-border, reward or return, yes, ideally I would highly recommend for them to look into becoming a member of the club, so you can actually just not do business locally, but as well as do business internationally, and look at how real estate businesses in other Western countries are actually doing some things that are actually giving them great return on investment, great reward on investment, and actually building cross-border relationship that allows you to drive investment into Rwanda, and that also allows you to generate foreign investment from the shores of Rwanda, and also generating pounds as well. So that's what the club stands for. Very good question. I'm so grateful that you actually asked this question. And I think when you probably read a lot of things on my social media, you will see me glorifying God a lot. The reason why I glorify God a lot is, for a very long time, I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and 7 years ago, when I was almost going to commit suicide, sorry, I'm just, when I lost everything, and God rescued me. God rescued me. God rescued me. When I lost a business back in Africa, over 150,000 pounds, which at that time was a lot of money, like 150,000 pounds, that was a lot of money. I lost that, and I actually gave up, and I said, maybe this was never going to become. And when I lost that, and I became an Uber driver, I was driving as an Uber driver, someone who's built a business, you have over 150,000 pounds, all of a sudden everything is gone. And I was a place where everything I lay my hands on made no sense. And the only person in those dark moments of the voices I hear in my head was the voice of God. And I did not know it was the voice of God until 7 years after. So after 7 years, so between 2015 to now, especially in 2023, 2024, it became so clear that it's God leading me. And why is it that it's God leading me? It was because I would hear things being spoken to me in my head, and it can only be the voice of God. Do this, even though I didn't have the money, even though I didn't have the resources, coming in front of me and me actually taking those bold steps, and it became. That was number one. That's one of the reasons why I know it's God. And sometimes the heart of men, literally men, coming to tell me exactly what I heard in my head. That can only be God, because they says, I'm a Christian, and most of the time, God will speak to you and he will confirm his word through the mouth of men. And it's the grace of God that gives you the spirit to discern. If you have discernment, the ability to know that this is God speaking to you, and you going to take those bold steps regardless of what is in front of you. You know, faith in God means your ability to see something not existing, but believing in the faith that it will be, and then going to do it regardless of whether it became or not. And it became, knowing that yes, that can only be the hand of God. So that's exactly why I know that it is God. This is not me. This is not about who I met or who I've met. You know, I have had a lot of successful stories, but for me to hear things in my dream and hear things in my sleep, and humans coming to tell me the same thing, what I had in my sleep and what I had in my head, and it coming to life, and it happened the same way that it happened, it can only be God. If you take God out of my business today, if you take God out of me today, if God actually leaves me today, regardless of my imperfection, God has been with me. I am not perfect. I'm a sinner. I sin every day. I'm not perfect. But it's only been God. It is only been God. You know? And when God lifted me out of those dark times, once upon a time, I had it very clear, you know, in my head, I would do business across Africa. I would do business with dignitaries. I would do business with kings and queens. I had it very clear in my head. And these things are materializing every single day. So when God is with you, you become above human disruption. When God is with you, you become above challenges. When God is with you, you become above bankruptcy. When God is with you, you become above many things. And for me, I just believe that God is with me, and that is the reason why I'm going in the path that I am in. For me, it's not about religion, but it's all about God. And God, yes, I'm a Christian. It's for my ability to believe that God is with me, and it is my ability to pray to God through my Father, my Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. And this is exactly what has been the champion behind me. And I haven't even started yet. Yes, I am passionate about God, because the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and every other thing shall be added. So I am actively seeking the kingdom of God, and as well as I'm also actively, see myself thrive and survive every single challenges that I've been through. So yes, absolutely, I believe that God will come through, and I believe that through me, other businesses, will see the light of God, and as well as I believe that God can actually showcase His work through entrepreneurship, and I know that God will showcase Himself through this vessel in my calling as an entrepreneur, because I believe I have been called into entrepreneurship with God to showcase God's work. And I know that my work, my wealth, my success will glorify the name of God and bring people through what He's doing in my life to His kingdom. Thank you.